Speech on immigration is back on. It will be Wednesday in Arizona. What's he going to say? We have also a new look at Trump's big campaign ad out this morning. This is the new wave of the campaign. We'll look at it and discuss its impact. We have two great reporters for you, CNN political reporter Sarah Murray and Philip Rucker, a political reporter with the Washington Post. What an interesting fix the GOP finds themselves in, Mr. Rucker. They now have Donald Trump saying the kinds of things they wanted him to say about immigration during the primary when he was beating the rest of the field like a piñata for expressing any weakness on the issue of rounding up all 11 million. What does he do now?
Well, here's the problem. He's not been consistent all week in what he's saying, and this speaks to the tension within his campaign. He has some advisors like Rudy Giuliani saying, move to the middle, moderate your positions, try to be more compassionate about those undocumented immigrants in the country illegally, and other advisors saying, stick to the hardline positions, and Trump just doesn't know what to do. And so what he's doing is waffling day by day, hour by hour in public, and hopefully by Wednesday with this speech we'll have a clear position from him on immigration and deportation policy, but right now one does not exist in his campaign.
Sarah, it's interesting because it would have been hard to see this coming. A leader often is judged by having his or her own head, and if anything else, he had shown that he does what he wants to do, and now it seems like, what is going on?
Well, and it's not abnormal for your typical politician to veer toward the center in a general election, but Trump has run on not being your typical politician. He has run on immigration really being the cornerstone of his campaign. Now, it's worth noting he hasn't wavered on his pledge to build the wall. That's one of the chants that his supporters like the most, that they get most energized about. But he very clearly stated during the Republican primaries, he called for this deportation force. He said he was going to get rid of everyone who was in the country illegally and let the good ones back in. This sort of touchback option, and that's not the kind of thing he's been saying for the last few days. So this is something, there are really two things we need to watch for. We need to watch for how he's going to deal with these 11 million undocumented immigrants in the U.S. That's right, and there is always going to be this difficulty when it comes to comparing economic policies, and there have been a number of economists, both Republicans and Democrats, who have criticized Donald Trump's economic policies, particularly his policies on trade, saying that when you have that sort of protectionist view, it's actually worse for American workers. But this is something the Republican Party has really struggled to convey to their base. It's part of the reason that Donald Trump rose in the primaries. It wasn't just immigration. It was also his message on the economy and on trade. But Chris, the other thing I think that's interesting about this ad is, like you said, it's running in 9 different states, but those states include New Hampshire, Virginia, Colorado. These are places where Donald Trump is not doing very well at all in the polls. He's trailing Hillary Clinton by relatively large margins. And so that says to me that the Trump campaign is not ready at this point to cede any of those states to Clinton, that they're at least willing to throw some money at it and see if they can close those margins a little bit.
Strong point. We also see that in his push for African-American access. The margin of victory between Romney and Obama in big states like Florida, Ohio, and now Nevada, which will be a playing field in this race, were often the same margin as the margin difference in the black vote. So do you think that's playing into the calculus, Philip Rucker?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, look, Donald Trump is trying to improve his numbers with African-American voters. He doesn't really have anywhere to go but up, and we're going to see him over the weekend speak to a black religious audience in Detroit and do some other events like that. I don't know that it's going to work, but the campaign feels if they can make inroads with just a couple of percentage points, it can make a difference in a state like North Carolina, which is a really key battleground this fall.
Good, smart reporters help us all in the morning. Philip Rucker, Sarah Murray, thank you so much. Allison.
Thank you.
NBA superstar Dwayne Wade's cousin was killed this weekend in Chicago, and her tragedy is getting a lot of attention. But she's just one of several victims who were killed in a surge of gun violence. A former Chicago police officer joins us next to talk about what's fueling this crisis and what the solutions could be.